Hello and welcome to the All About Pigeons podcast. We have a very special episode for you today, so stick around. Today we have with us Paul Daneil, the founder of the Flying D franchise Futurity. He is a longtime pigeon fancier, second generation. And today we're going to talk about racing pigeons in a club versus one loft racing pigeons. So Paul, thanks for coming on and talking with us.
You bet, buddy. Thanks for having me.
So do you belong to a local pigeon racing club currently?
Yeah, I belong to the Wichita Falls Racing Pigeon Club.
How long have you been racing with that club?
For about 5 years now. Before that, I was with the Denton Invitational in Denton, Texas.
And how long have you been flying birds in one loft races?
Oh, I've been into one loft racing for over 30 years now.
So you've had a nice mix then of club racing versus one loft racing for a while then.
Yes, sir.
It would seem to me when you first joined up with a pigeon racing club, the best place to get those pigeons would probably be from somebody in that club, right? They know the area, they know the race, their birds have done it.
To a certain extent, that's smart. Unless you have friends that have really good pigeons and fly, in clubs, you can also get birds from them. But, to a certain extent, it is smart to get birds that do perform in the area that you're actually flying in. There is a such thing as, a horse for the course. So it don't hurt you. I put it like that. It's a benefit to definitely, try to find the old timers used to say, whoever's, kicking ass, whoever's winning in the club, befriend them, go get close to them, get birds from them. That's the smart thing to do. Yeah, I agree with you there. That's definitely, and that all goes to the same thing with one loft racing. I don't mean to sound harsh or disrespectful, but why do you want to buy birds from somebody that's not winning one loft races and try to compete in a one loft race? Find guys that are at the top, consistently at the top. That's who you need to be getting your birds from because it's proofs in the pudding.
And that'd be more like somebody who's dominating overall with one loft races, right? Because there's so many different one loft races. They're all, like you're saying, different horses for different courses. There's
Right.
such a variety with all the different one loft races that we have here in the States. When it comes to one loft racing, is that more of a breeding kind of situation that you're looking for with a pair of birds more than a competition race record, I guess you'd say?
I've been saying it for years that one loft pigeons and club pigeons are not the same thing. You can take really good club pigeons, and they are not very competitive in top one loft races. But you can take top one loft pigeons, and they're competitive in club racing. So I personally feel like there's a difference. They're not the same animal. They're not the same pigeon. One loft pigeons they have to have amazing immune systems. They got to mature fast. They got to fly back to a perch. There's no motivation. They got to be put in with 150 to 1,000 to 5,000 pigeons. They've got to be tough as far as try to find and pick a top perch or whatever. They've got to fight for feed. They've got to. It's a totally different animal. Because a lot of club racing guys have built their families on their personal touch. Meaning, if I drive a badass truck, what I'm saying, and I put fancy wheels on it, that's the way I do things. That's the look I like. Same with pigeon flying. Guys build around a certain pigeon or build around certain traits and certain things they like, and they've built their family around that. But at the same time, they've built their family around motivation, the light system, the darkening system, celibacy, or widowhood, or guys have their own little niches that makes their family work, perform, or they've built their family around them little niches. Well, in one loft racing, it's totally opposite. I mean, the birds all fly to one loft. They have no motivation. They've got to pick a perch and try to stay with it. They all get fed the same. They get trained the same. The pigeon has to have a great immune system, be able to withstand all the different varieties of bacterias and viruses that comes along with one loft racing. So therefore, it's a totally different animal. That's, like I said, that's my thought, but guys are starting to see the difference. There is a total difference.
That's a really interesting point. It kind of goes back to what you were saying, where a pigeon from a racing club going into a one loft race compared to a one loft pigeon coming into a race club. That one loft pigeon is going to just kind of be overall say better, kind of a word I'll use, but
Yes. Yes.
it's like you're saying. So yeah, if this is how I loft train, this is what I do. If it's all about widowhood or whatever the motivation is, compared to a bird that is just trained to come back, because you don't know how they're going to be training, what the motivation is. You just want a bird that can just come back. So in that way, you could say the one loft races are really helping the racing sport altogether, just because they are making a different pigeon and maybe even a better pigeon.
They're making a better pigeon, as far as I'm concerned, because I'll give you a little, for instance. All right, so every year after my race is over with, not all birds are sent home. Not everybody wants their pigeon back. Okay, so they'll leave, from 30 to 100, 120, 30 pigeons every year gets left with me. So I fly club old bird races in our club with them pigeons just for fun. And them pigeons are absolutely dynamite. And these are the bottom end, the culls that nobody wanted. These are the ones that nobody wanted to take home from the race. And I turn right back around within a month and a half after my race is over with, and usually switch directions and take off and fly old birds with them. And these pigeons are dynamite. I mean, they win, big time win in our club against club pigeons. That's what I'm saying. They're just, even though they're the bottom end in my race, which my race is a little bit different than most. It's a high roller type race, so therefore the quality and the caliber of pigeons that's sent into me is exceptional. So therefore, even though them birds didn't do it on the day of the race, don't mean that they were a bad pigeon. What's funny is if the race was a week earlier or a week later, or 2 days later, 2 days earlier, some of them pigeons hit form. Some of them are going out of form. Some of them miss on race day. You know what I'm saying? And get blowed off course just a touch. Like this year, we had heavy, heavy, heavy crosswinds. Birds got blowed off the course a little bit, and a lot of pigeons come from the backside. So therefore, them birds missed on the north side of the loft a mile, 2 miles, 5 miles, 20 miles. I don't know. And they make the big loop and then come around from the backside. So it's not that they were bad pigeons; they just didn't hold the line as true as the pigeons that won it. And like I said, they're still great pigeons. And like I turn right back around and race them in old birds, and they're phenomenal. A lot of these guys that are in my race, I'll when the race season's over with an old birds, if something's really special and, really steps up and is just bad to the bone, well, I'll call them guys and send them back. No big thing. And at the same time, if I want them, they give them to me. But it's pretty neat to see how these pigeons stack up against regular club pigeons. They're just better. I mean, they're just better. And these, like I said, these are the bottom end that nobody wanted. You can only imagine if I'd have kept the top 30%, 20, 30, 40% that went home and turn them around and race them in old birds. Then how really good that would I have been?
Yeah, that's interesting. Even against club racing pigeons that are local to that area, that they're still coming out on top of those. That really does say a lot about the one loft race pigeons.
It's amazing. I mean, like I said, this is the bottom end of what nobody wanted to take home, and they're at the top. I don't do anything. There's no motivation. I don't do anything. I fly them back to the perch. They're flying back to the perch in the one loft race over here in the loft. There's no boxes, there's no nest bowls, there's no nothing. They just fly back to the perch just like they've been flying all race season, and they're at the top. It's pretty neat to see how really good the one loft pigeons are against just regular club pigeons.
So, what are some of the one loft races that you send your birds to?
I compete in quite a few. We're big supporters of the California races, with the San Diego Classic, the Holiday Cup, California Classic, the Royal Cup. Big supporters in the Hoosier. For years, the Peach Classic, which has changed to the Cotton Classic now, and then the Texas Dash for Cash. You name it. I mean, there's lots of races. The Longhorn, we support a lot of races.
Are you sending specific birds to each one of those when it comes to those different courses?
To a certain extent, there is certain birds that over the years you've kind of developed, like the San Diego races. I do extremely, extremely well in San Diego. But for flying San Diego for so many years, you tend to start to learn what's working. And every year you continue to bring them pigeons home and you're breeding from them pigeons. So therefore, horse for the course. And I breed them to something to fix whatever they was lacking, or breed them to another winner out there and then send them right back. So over a period of 10, 12 years, you tend to start to create a pigeon that works extremely well on that course out there. But at the same time, a lot of them pigeons that work really good on that San Diego course produce winners for me in the rest of the United States. So there is a few courses that the birds do extremely well and they produce extremely well into a lot of other races in the United States. Like there was two or three races out in Utah, the Trappers Loop, the Evolution, the Plymouth Peak. Them races are really good and they fly through the mountains and it's kind of a tough. The birds got to navigate. They really got to have a lot of brains and a lot of endurance. And a lot of them pigeons, when they win the race for me, I bring them home and breed them into the birds that win in California. And them pigeons seem to produce my best birds in all the races I send to. Really good course to bring birds home to produce to fly a lot of the other races.
What's your process when you got a bird that you're going to be sending to a one loft race? What do you do to get that bird ready for it?
It all comes down to healthy parents. You got to start with healthy parents. Healthy parents produce healthy babies, and healthy babies win pigeon races. So therefore, you start with good, healthy, clean parents that's been treated and ready to rock and roll. There's odd and end things that I do and use during the breeding season that really helps, I think, with the makeup of them babies because they need everything they can get. You've got 30 days to give them everything they can get to get all the growth and everything you can get out of a baby in 30 days is all you got. It's very important to have really good products to help ensure it, and it helps the parent along the 30-day track too. And if the parents are feeling good and healthy and doing good, they're going to feed better and the babies are going to be better. I'm a big fan of there's a product, it's made by Benzing. It's sold, Siegel sells it, and it's made by Benzing and it's a really good product. It's not a well-known product yet. It's kind of expensive. Each container of it's the small little container is like $100 for the container, but I use that in my water during the breeding season for the breeders, and it's really really amazing what it does for them babies. Man, they come out like little champs. I mean, they're just blowed up like little toad frogs and fat and sassy and feathers are clean, no fret marks. I mean, they're just amazing.
What's that called?
Siegel sells it, comes in a black and blue container. It's like blue, it's called blue something, but it's made by Benzing. The people that makes the clocks,
Yeah.
that's who it's made by. It's their product and it's really awesome. It's not really known yet over here very much. It's only been over here about a year and a half or two. And so not a lot of people know about it or tried it because a lot of people don't because it is kind of expensive, but it is a magnificent product. And I use Primalac for the water and stuff, putting on the feed. The Primalac's a really good product for the parents, and when they're feeding babies, and then the babies just come out amazing. And it's really good for the parents, keeping that good gut bacteria going. Vitaking has a really good product called BioPro that I use a lot. It's really good. I'm a big fan of it's called Naturalene, made by Natural. It's a 16 herbal teas, vitamins, like our herbal teas. And I use a lot of that. Tea is really good for a pigeon, no matter what kind of tea it is. It's really good for a pigeon.
Oh, I've heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah, it just keeps their liver clean. You keep the liver clean, the body's clean. I mean, the liver's the filter. I mean, you change the filter in your heat and air conditioning deal in your house every 30 days, or you're supposed to. That's the liver in a pigeon. If it's kept clean, the pigeon just stays so much more healthy because that's filtering all the problems.
Yeah. And you want them to be top game because when you send them to a one loft race, that's just so much exposure to so many different things. All
Yes.
those other pigeons from all those other lofts just getting together in one small area. If your bird's not top of its health right there to stay up there, then it's going to have a hard time.
And I try to make sure my babies are 100% clean when they leave because they are going, like you said, they are going into a cesspool. And I mean, they're being thrown in with thousands of different bacterias from different lofts all over the United States. And so, therefore, their body's got to withstand that fast, quick, and in a hurry. That's what I'm saying. That's what makes one loft pigeons so much better, I think, than club pigeons, because you take club pigeons that's never been exposed to this kind of stuff and throw them into a one loft race. They just, a lot of the pigeons can't handle it. They've never had to withstand or be up against all that kind of stuff. Where a one loft bird, over a period of 10 or 12 years of sending one loft pigeons to one loft races, bringing all the top winners back home and breeding out of them, and then sending them babies right back and doing it again. Now I'm 8, 10, 12 generations deep into one loft pigeons with badass, immune systems that's just got better, bigger, tighter, stronger every year, with breedings and sending back, bringing home, breedings, sending back, bringing home. It tends to get better and better and better and stronger. You tend to create a pigeon that have amazing immune systems. I mean, they're just tough, and the parents pass that stuff on. It's genetics, it's DNA, it passes through. It's amazing. Like I said, that's why I feel like that it's not even the same animal. It's just not the same animal. We've created a totally different. Yes, they're all homing pigeons and they're all racing pigeons, but it's not the same. I promise you.
I didn't think about that. That's a whole other side right there. You're absolutely building up an immune system, especially over the generations.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say you take 6 years of sending birds to one loft races, bringing them top winners home, breeding them together, like a winner from the Hoosier to a winner from California. I put them together, send babies back out to both races the next year. They do extremely well or win, and you bring them back home and breed them to a winner from the Texas Dash for Cash. And, so therefore you just continue to breeding these winners to winners, winners to winners. And the immune systems from both animals were phenomenal that withstood thousands of pigeons. So it just gets better and stronger and crazy. I'm a performance nut, okay? Racing pigeons you're a fool if you don't stick with performance. I had an old man tell me when I was just a 12-year-old kid, and this was back when I was flying rollers, just a kid. He said, "Listen to me, papers are no good." He said, "You never go wrong with performance. Stick with performance. Quit worrying about paperwork, what they're out of, who their parents are, and who their great great grandparents are. Stick with performance. Breed winner to winner, performer to performer, and you never go wrong." The way I've stuck with it for all these years, I try to breed the best to the best and get rid of the rest. That's the key. People, and now this may sound a little harsh, but I'm not trying to be, but they ask a homing pigeon to do a racing pigeon's job. So what I'm saying is they want to go buy about two or three, one, two, three, five, 10 pair of pigeons from different guys that's never been flown. Okay. And they've never been flown. You don't know if they'd have been lost at 20 miles or 30 miles or 10 miles. But they bring them home and they breed them pigeons together, and then they want to send babies to the Hoosier, and it's $850 a pigeon, and try to compete against guys like myself and a lot of other big name guys in the business that win a lot, and expect to be competitive. You're not going to be. You got to get pigeons that's done it. Find pigeons that's flown, that's raced. Breed them. That's what you're after. Stick with performance. Stay away from pedigrees. Pedigrees are great to look at and they're fun to talk about with your friends, but stick with performance. I'm saying, I would rather have a bird that was a few minutes off the first drop, bred to a bird from this race to another race that was a few minutes off the first drop, put them two together, than I would to have two birds out of name brand pigeons that's never been flown put together. Give me the performance. Them birds have done it. Sure, they were off the pace just a touch, but that's okay. They made the whole series. They flew their ass off. Put it to another bird that done the same. You're gonna get better. If you never go wrong with performance. Never. That's just the way I look at it. And I usually breed a one loft winner to a proven producer. That's how I do my program. Yes, I do breed one loft winners together, but at the same time, I breed a lot of times a proven producer. Say I got a cockbird that's bred four different winners with three different hens. Well, then I put him on one of my top winning, first drop pigeons that comes home from a one loft race. Boom. So therefore, she's going to a proven producer and he's going to a proven flyer. And it just makes your program just continues to get better. I promise you. And here's something else that I do. I never make the same pairs together every year, the next year. So I'm breeding out of 44 pair of pigeons right now, and there's not one pair of pigeons in there that was mated last year the same way.
Why is that?
Because I'm looking for new, bigger, better. I'm plus every year when my winners all win, I can bring them home, and I don't ever back myself into a corner with my genetics.
Oh yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My genetics never, like say, oh, I'm breeding out of 5 or 6 pair of pigeons, and they breed lot. They breed a lot of good pigeons every year, and I keep them birds together every year. Well, over a period of the next 2 or 3 years, I keep bringing them birds home. Then I back myself in the corner and got nowhere to go. Then I have to go out and buy birds that are unflown, or spend huge money trying to buy pigeons that were flown, because a lot of times guys won't give up their winners. Unless they're at the Hoosier, which they sell the top 100 pigeons. Well, sure, you can buy one of the winners, but look what they're going to cost you. It's hard to give up a winner. We just won in the Blue Angel Classic a couple days ago, 2 days ago or whatever. I was third in that right there, and my phone rang off the hook. People trying to buy that pigeon from me. You know what I'm saying? And I tell them, look, guys, it don't benefit me to sell you that pigeon. It helps your program, but don't help mine. I don't need the money. I'd rather have the pigeon for my program. That's where guys I think make a biggest mistake in the world is, oh, I'll sell it. I got the parents. Well, Michael Jordan's parents never raised another Michael Jordan.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? So it don't, just because you got parents don't mean you're going to ever breed another one just like that one. Because to be honest with you, your odds of breeding another superstar out of that pair are slim to none. I mean, there is very, very, very few pairs of pigeons in the United States or even in the world that have bred just multiple, multiple, multiple winners out of the same pair over the period of many, many years. Okay. There is a few, but there is very few. So if you get 50% winners or 50% top pigeons out of, let's say you raise 8 babies out of a pair and you get 4 pigeons that's really good or wins, you got something. You know what I'm saying? Because the numbers are, it ain't that good. Very few people can say that, they got absolutely 2 pair of pigeons in their loft that are just absolutely 100% dynamite. That if you raise 10 babies out of them, 7 of the 10 are in the top money, wherever they send them. Them kind of pairs are few and far between.
And that's where it's tricky with one loft races, right?
That's right.
You're sending things off that you're assuming are going to be dynamite compared to when you're doing club racing. You'll see right off the bat if that was a dud or a superstar.
Mm-hmm. Plus, every year is different. Same race, but every year is different. Weather, wind, the what everything is different. Last year I win $30,000 in the Texas Dash for Cash last year. Okay, not this year, 24, 23. I had 2 or 3 super super pigeons in there. We won, I think, $37,000 in the race down there last year. Turn right back around. You send a lot of the same pigeons right back down there, and this year was a totally different race. It was was heavy overcast and light rain, and just the winds was crazy and a lot of different deals. Yes, I had 2 birds in the money, but they were off the pace a little bit. So you never know from year to year. You can send to the same race for 5 years, and every year will be different. That's why I'm saying it. Very seldom do you ever find something or somebody that has a pair of pigeons that just they're in the top money every single year at the same race, because every year at the race is different. Every year at my race is different. Every year. The thing about my race is we set a date and we stick to it. I set a date a year in advance. My race next year will be the last weekend in January. It always is. And that's just when we race, when we take whatever God gives us on that day, fast, slow, or indifferent. It is what it is. I'm not like a lot of these other races that are, constantly moving their race around to make and get what they want to get. And hey, that's what they want to do. That's fine. But we not only put on a race, we put on an event. We put on a party, a big event. People can't make plans and buy plane tickets and rent cars and do all this stuff if you're changing the race every 2 days. You know what I'm saying? They can't do it. That's the difference. So therefore my race, I mean, 2 years ago I had a race that was 1,900 yards a minute. Did I want that? Hell no, I don't want that. But that's the whatever God give us that day, that's what we got. 2 years before that, we had 5 daybirds. You know, it was brutal and didn't get them till 30 minutes before dark. So, but that's what makes my race fun and neat and unique because nobody's got it cornered. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's got it monopolied.
Can we talk a little bit about that? Your race right now. What are the dates that you race? Let's talk about some of the different distances that you do there.
My race is, you know, like I said, is last weekend in January every year. Our final race is 400 miles. We jump them from 2 to 4. And we do that. The reason why we set that up and design that and do that is because to get some separation, you know, I don't want 30 on the drop. I want small drops. You know what I'm saying? I want somebody to get paid big. But my race is a little different. It's set up a little different, one of a kind in the business. It's set up kind of like a private country club. You have to own a membership to be a part of it. You know, say, you know, private country club to play golf or whatever. That's how it's set up. You have to own a franchise and to be in the race. We don't get no money from you as far as we're not like every other race that they have a 100-mile activation race and then they got 4 races after that or 5 races after that. You know what I'm saying? And your bird's lost on the third race and he's not even there to go to the final where all the money's supposed to be paid out at. Our race is different. You don't pay until the birds go to the final. And we train them out to 200 miles where a lot of races only, you know, they'll go 100 before they, you know, get your money. We do a 125, a 150 and a 200 and then we jump from 2 to 4 and you can pay the night of shipping. If you come to the event, you can pay at when you walk in the door the night of the shipping that you get to handle your birds, and tomorrow morning you're racing for $3, $4, $500,000.
Wow.
It's a little different, but you know we're $1,000 a bird entry. You know there's a two-edged sword there. Like I said, we don't get your money. We don't ask you to pay 1,000 until we've got them ready to go to the final. Till you're fixing to compete for all the money.
Anybody who's interested in taking a look at this futurity race he has out there, you can check out their website. It's flying D pigeonfuturity.com. A lot of information on the race that they do down there. You can reach out to Paul, I'm sure, and get all the information you need. So, Paul, thanks so much for coming on and talking with us today.
You bet, buddy. Anytime, holler at me anytime.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the All About Pigeons podcast. Please help the pigeon hobby by telling your fellow club members or other pigeon friends about the podcast, and make sure to leave a good review or at least a 5-star for the podcast wherever you listen. If you have a topic or a person you want to hear more about on the podcast, or if you yourself would like to be a guest, just send an email to allaboutpigeonspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.